Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Jermaine from That Christian Fam, and tonight we're going to talk about how to fight for your marriage and how to win over your spouse. That and more after the bumper.
Who are we?
That Christian Fam.
Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Jermaine from That Christian Fam, aka the Kingz Realm. Thank y'all for tuning in to our channel. Please hit the subscribe button. Make sure you like this video and make sure you leave a comment on this video, and please share this video with a family member or a friend or a close loved one or something like that. We really want to continue to get the message of Jesus Christ out to the masses in plain English for our generation. Y'all, like always, I'm gonna keep it all the way real with y'all. It has been a challenging last 4-5 days here in Kingsville. You know, of course we live in Dallas, Texas, but here in the Kingz household we like to call it Kingsville. So, you know, we've been getting hit with you know, this flu that's going around, this type A and all this other stuff. It's just been really attacking our household. It's an epidemic. It's been going around everywhere, and so our household was not excluded from it, but praise God, we're pressing through. Thank you to the prayers of all the family members and friends, and thank you to all the medicine and all the doctors who have treated us. We appreciate that, and we're continuing to get better, and we'll continue to strive on in the name of Jesus Christ. But in spite of all of that, we're continuing to press on. All right, y'all, how to fight for your marriage, how to win over your spouse. Now let me go ahead and eliminate some of y'all. Let me tell y'all something. I'm gonna tell y'all who this video is not for. This video is not for the person who takes marriage lightly, like as if it's a dating process. Someone who changes spouses like they would change out of a pair of gasoline draws. Like, this video is not for you. If you do not honor the sanctity of marriage, if you do not honor the fact that marriage is a covenant and not a contract, this video is not for you. If you are not determined to fight for your marriage, to fight for your spouse, trust and believe, this video is not for you. Now, let me tell you who this video is for. I was led to do this video because I believe that there's a lot of frustrated people out there who really want their marriage to work, but it seems like they just hit a bump in the road and they feel like they just can't get it over that bump, and they're doing what they need to do, or maybe they're not doing what they need to do for it to work. Regardless of the reason, let's talk about fighting for your marriage. Now, I don't think any earnest, God-fearing believer in Jesus Christ would honestly just let someone walk up to their spouse and steal their spouse. Not without a fight, right? Listen, y'all who have not been rocking with me for a long time, those of y'all who just jumped on the ship, let me tell y'all something. Y'all know I don't play about my wife. I love my wife, Nikki, and I mess around, catch a case over my wife. I love my wife, and come hell or high water, ain't nobody stealing her from me. We would not let somebody just come up and take our spouse, right? Okay, but let me tell you how that happens. It's the times when, or I'm actually going to make it relate to husband and wife analogy because I'm a man, praise God. But it's the times when you forget to compliment your wife before she walks out the door. It's the times when you didn't kiss her good night. It's the times where you didn't kiss her bye before she left to go to work. It's the times when you didn't tell her she looks nice in that dress. It's the times you didn't tell her she has a nice hairdo. It's the times that you didn't tell her, oh, she has a nice perfume on. You know, those moments. And then come to find out, there's some dude either at her job or, you know, somewhere else that she sees all the time, and they're feeding her all of those compliments that you should be giving her. And after a while, there's this slow buildup of momentum on this other brother's side, and like, what? Wait a minute! Like, all of a sudden, you know, she's leaning towards this person. She didn't start off leaning towards this person. However, because you were not doing the things that you were supposed to do as the husband, you let all the favor build up in the favor of this other brother, this other peripheral dude out there in the streets. And so what happens is this cat then stole your girl because he messed around and did the things that you should have been doing the whole time. That's exactly how you get your spouse stolen from you. No, they didn't come physically take them from you all at once, but it's slowly but surely, little by little, they just stole your spouse away from you. And these are the things that we're trying to prevent. That's the reason why I was led to do this video. Here's the first point. Point number one, make up in your mind whether or not this person is worth it. If you saw something in them in the beginning to begin with, then obviously they're worth it, right? But what happens, sometimes our vision gets cloudy. It gets clouded by our peripheral view of other things that seem to be greener. You know how the grass looks greener on the other side of the fence? Well, that's not always true. Now, sometimes the grass is greener on the other side of the fence, but that doesn't mean that it's worth it either. But sometimes, yes, the grass may be greener on the other side of the fence, but little do we know, if we would just take the time to just water our own lawn, we could have grass that's way greener than the grass that's on the other side of the fence. What am I saying? Take the time to manage and to take care of your spouse and stop looking at other people and other people's spouses. And maybe you would have a better marriage. Maybe you would actually be a better husband. Maybe you would actually be a better wife to your husband. So think about those things and ask yourself, you know what? Is it worth it? 9 times out of 10, I guarantee you, if you came together under the union of Christ, they were worth it. They're supposed to be your spouse. You are worth it. They are worth it. You have to stick it out, stick through it, work through it. It'll work out. Number 2. Now here's a point that you have to really be shown enough grown to actually do. You have to ask your spouse to identify an area of concern and also ask them to name something intangible that they want from you. For instance, if they want more quality time, if they want you to listen to them, if they want you to talk with them, if they want you to engage with them, if they just want more of your time, you know, those are those intangible things. Those are not monetary things that you can go out and possess. But yes, it does take grown adults to sit down and have a real conversation about areas of concern within your marriage. Because listen, if you continue to not address these areas of concern in your marriage, then what happens is you continue to sweep them things under the rug. It becomes a pile, and then before you know it, the pile is too high for you to hide, and then before you know it, it's a big old mess, and at that point it becomes very difficult to clean up. So by addressing the areas of concern, by addressing those intangible wants, those are ways to satisfy your spouse. But listen, y'all, in addition to that, we have to pray. We have to pray for God to strengthen us, because we can't allow ourselves to be so concerned with us looking like a sucker. In other words, like our spouse is going to take advantage of us, and be concerned on the fact that, hey, listen, we're giving all this effort in the relationship, and what if our spouse doesn't give any effort at all? Listen, you can't have that mentality. You can't have the if you then I mentality. That's a toxic mentality. Marriage is a covenant agreement between husband and wife, and the if you then I language, that's the same language you use in a contract, and a contract is usually time specific and it's conditional. You have to be willing to be vulnerable and say, listen, regardless of what you choose to do or not do, I choose to put forth the effort because I love you and I trust the God of my salvation to take care of me, and I believe by faith that it will work out for my good. And at some point, y'all, you're going to have to trust God to be God. I know we say it all the time, like we're going to put our trust in the Lord, and we're going to trust Him to the day that we die and all that stuff, and we're going to put our trust in Him, you know, in this area and that area. But literally, we have to be willing to let God be God. If God is, no, not if, since God is who we say He is, we have to be willing to let God be God, and not only call Him God, but put our faith and our trust in Him and trust Him to be God, because He has never slipped, He has never slumbered, He has never fallen asleep, He will never fail, because there is no failure in Him. Trust God to be God and let Him work it out for your good. Number 3, go on a date. Now listen, y'all, I know, you know, depending on where you are in life, if you have kids, you don't have kids, sometimes it can be very challenging trying to find time to actually have a date. Me and my wife Nikki, we have 3 children, but we make it our business to make sure that we go on dates periodically. Why? Because the same thing that we did in the courting process is the same thing that we want to do in our marriage. Listen, this is why people look at marriages like a death sentence sometimes, because we act like all of the fun and excitement has to die when you get married. No. We're going to keep it all the way real. That's how we get down here at That Christian Fam. You still have to go out on dates. It's even more important for you to go out on dates when you get married, because those are some of the only alone times that you get is when you go out on a date, and you have to be willing to fight for those dates and contend for that alone time with your wife. And then sometimes if you cannot go out on a date, you just have to sometimes just have that peace and quiet time with her on the couch. Just hold her hand, tell her you love her, and just talk about things, just talk about your day and things like that. But find a way to be involved in each other's lives on a day-to-day basis. Don't just have it be bogged down to the logistics of, who's going to do this, who's going to pick up the kids, who's going to do this, that, and the other. That's the logistics of the marriage. That's not marriage. You want to get into the meat and potatoes of the marriage about, how are we feeling? How was your day? Things like that. What are you thinking about? What are your goals? What are your aspirations? What do you want to do for this week? What do you want to do for the next month? This, that, and the other. So, number 3, date. Find a way to put aside some daytime. Number 4, you better ask somebody. In other words, like this. Listen, we just recently had a Super Bowl, right? So oftentimes when a team has never been to the Super Bowl, what the team and the coaching staff and the head coach and all that, what they do is they tend to glean from teams who have actually been to the Super Bowl, because there's a new experience for them. So they'll ask questions like, okay, when should we check in? How long should we practice? This beeping is getting on my nerves. Anyways, how long should I let the boys go out and party? When should I set curfew? What to expect at media day? What type of questions are they going to ask us at media day? Things like that. Why? Because you're trying to give yourself every advantage. You're trying to give yourself every opportunity to win the Super Bowl. And it's that same mentality that we have to take when it comes to our marriage. Ask questions like, okay, how long did y'all wait to have kids? Once y'all had kids, how did y'all keep the fire from not going out? If you suffer from postpartum depression, hey, did your wife suffer from postpartum depression too? How did y'all overcome that? And how did y'all maintain your marriage in that time? How did you survive the quote unquote 7-year plateau? Like, how did you get through that rough time? Or was that even a rough time at all? I've heard it's a rough time, but really, is it rough? You ask those questions. And by asking those questions, what you're communicating is that first and foremost, not to lose your spouse. And secondly, to reign in victory within your marriage. Number 5, and this is the last point, y'all, and this is going to be real simple and plain. It's really going to come down to how bad do you want it? Like, listen, at the end of the day, you can look at this video, you can read all the books you want to, you can listen to all the good advice you want to, but at the end of the day, it's going to come down to how bad do you want your marriage to work? Not just exist, but to work, to thrive, to be lively. How bad do you want it to work? You don't want to give up prematurely and look back and be like, man, like I really had a good thing and it was a God thing, but I wasn't willing to fight for it. Listen, I know there's somebody on the other side of this video. You've never seen marriage work. You've seen within your bloodline divorce after divorce after divorce. But I'm telling you, marriage can work and marriage does work. There's somebody on the other side of this video. You're about to throw in the towel on your marriage. You're about to give up. I made this video just for you. Pay attention to this video. Do not let it fall on deaf ears. Heed to this video. Listen, I'm telling you, I'm talking to you. Do not give up on your marriage, because what's going to happen is you're going to give up on the best thing that has ever happened to you outside of coming to Christ. Y'all, I hope this video helped you in some way, shape, or form. If you offended, I really don't care. This is Jermaine from That Christian Fam, aka the King's Realm. That's a wrap.
I tried to fight for us. I tried to fight for trust. I tried to fight for this. I tried to fight for love. I tried to fight for us. I tried to fight for trust. I tried to fight for this. I tried to fight for love. I tried to fight for us. I tried to fight for trust. I tried to fight for this. I tried to fight for love. I tried to fight for us. I tried to fight for trust. I tried to fight for this. I tried to fight for